Pop in, say hi. If you've never come into one of my lives before, hi, I'm Cindy. I explore the inside and the outside. And this is my Sunday night live show. This live show, I cannot say for sure how long we have done it. I would, oh my goodness, I think a year or two after I actually started my YouTube. We're going to send some good cheer out there that this fire truck gets to its destination and it's a false alarm or everybody's okay and they can go back to their winter evening barbecue because, yes, the snow is on the ground. Hello, Andrew. Hello, Owen. How's your week been going? I don't know if it was anything like my week. I tell you, right? It's been a while, but I also felt it was coming too, and I am very happy that I have a few days. Melvin, oh my goodness, Melvin made it in today. My keyboard was broken and I could not type to you, my dear. Now it isn't. Oh, that's awesome, Melvin. Is that why I haven't seen you? Right? Usually you pop into my What's Good Cheer at the very least. But wow, it's been a while since we had you over here on uh on Chatters Live. That's awesome. Happy to have you here, Melvin. I got a little bit blasted this this weekend. Everybody was out of commission. Everybody. And things got shuffled around and it ended up in my lap. It kind of ended up in my lap. And in the first couple of days of that, I did a little bit of whining, a little bit of grumbling and complaining. And then all of a sudden, I got hurt. I knew it was coming. We had to get my sister cleared out of her house this week. I could feel my back kind of going out on me. And I took it easy. We got the house done. We got the job done. My sister's coming out of the hospital, I think, tomorrow. So she's going to be happy to come home to her nice, clean home and her cats, knowing that dealing with the house and the husband is something of a past. And I'm really optimistic that she's going to have a bit of a turnaround in her happiness, that things aren't going to be so stressful or demanding or right. She's got some answers and she gets to make some choices. She might right decide not to. That's her prerogative. But if that was me, I tell you, I'd be making some different choices. And sometimes I think that I need that twist in my life in order for me to make some of those big changes. Do I need to make those big changes? I don't know because I don't know how much they influence my life, like the pink ice donuts with the sprinkles, right? We live in a world where there is lots of zero food out there, don't we? Food that doesn't have nutrients in it in any way, right? The craft dinner. What does craft dinner give you except, right, what the Food and Drug Administration tells that you at least have to conform to. So I'm sure there'll be added nutrients to that food, but naturally that food is nothing natural about it and nothing beneficial to it. And in my family, we grew up on craft dinner. My one of my sister's favorite food in the whole world is a zero food, a food that offers absolutely anything. But it is yummy, right? And we have to take into consideration, yes, it doesn't add any nutrients, right? You're not going to go there for your vitamin C. You're not going to craft dinner for the extra protein and the, right? You have a little bit, I guess, of fiber in it. I don't know, right? Maybe if you have whole wheat craft dinner or something. But you have to think, even though it doesn't offer anything up nutritionally, I bet you for a lot of people, it offers up something that is emotionally, right? I live in a province where your emotional well being is just as important as your physical well being. You need healthcare, you need healthcare. And, they don't separate the two, just like they don't separate the paramedics and the ambulances from the firemen, the guys who drive the fire trucks. It's all just one big organization. I guess maybe it wasn't a false alarm because we got another fire truck or ambulance maybe that is coming down the street, right? The ambulance, the paramedics are going to get there just in the nick of time, and everything is going to be good. And the fire truck will be able to leave and go back to the fire station and wait for that next call if need be. I'll wish them a little bit of a quiet night because it is a snowy winter night for sure. It finally hits when winter comes to Winnipeg. It just comes overnight. It's not a slow graduation. Spring and summer can barely tell the difference. The only way you can tell the difference between spring and summer is number one, the bugs, because the bugs don't like the heat either. They usually die off. And when the heat comes, the dragonflies come out and they love mosquitoes. But also, the ground is pretty mucky because we get a lot of snow in the winter on the norm. We're going to wait and see how winter presents itself this year. Last year we had such a warm winter, you guys. It was so mild outside. It was noticeable. Everybody talked about it. I'm not quite sure. Maybe we'll have another one of those winters. We sure did have a beautiful fall this year, a late fall. We didn't get our first snow. I think it was after the middle of November. So whatever snow we have on the ground, it's only come in the past few days. I've only been in my snow pants. I'm going like this because I still have my snow pants on. I haven't even taken them. I got a little bit of a draft here in the window, and I don't want to concede that it's winter just yet. And if I turn my foot heater on, because I have a little foot heater here I can turn on, and it'll blow some nice heat onto my legs and keep me warm. I don't want to concede that winter is here. So let's just see how it all plays out. It's snowing pretty good out there. I suspect when I get up tomorrow morning, there's going to be a pretty good amount of snow on the ground. But today was a lot milder than it was yesterday. I was really out of commission. Everybody, like I said, was out of commission this weekend, and I went and helped my sister, helped clean the house, and I knew that, right, sometimes in my lower back, something you can feel is about to slip, and when it slips, I kind of get a warm rush, and then it just turns into really, really bad pain. Well, it didn't happen. I cleaned up my house. I came home. I was perfectly fine. And I was actually quite happy because the keys have been handed in. So there was no more work to do in the house. I was just giving up that one day on that. So I felt pretty good. And I started going in and editing my video and stuff and didn't think much of it. It was a little bit sore. I knew it was still there, ready to slip, but had a couple of days off. I thought maybe I could get it settled down and stuff. I went to work on Thursday, and I had a strange experience. It kind of scared me because I didn't have that pain before, and it was like electricity, and it was just in my side where it joins to my leg, and it was like electricity. It was very painful and unfamiliar to me, so I kind of freaked out over it. And during the course of my shift, it happened 7 times in a course of 6 hours. It was so bad. People were coming up to me and trying to assist me, thinking I was having a heart attack or something, because I don't know. I don't have aches and pains. I get Charlie horses, but I don't normally suffer aches and pains. I've never had a bleeding nose. I've never I've never had a headache. The only bone I've ever broken was my baby finger. You can see it's a little bit crooked there, but it doesn't bother me in any way. In fact, I've broken it numerous times, right? I know it's not super strong and right being a little bit crooked. Sometimes I guess I kind of force it to be a little bit straight like the other ones, but it isn't. It is what it is. But on the norm, I'm a very healthy person. So when I get those pains, like I know, right, something's up. I start drinking water. The first thing I usually do is I just start taking water. And then I go, okay, it's time for some extra vitamins. And then I start taking the extra vitamins. And then on my days off, I always try and make sure that I take an extra hour of sleep because usually my alarm goes off at 7. And I'm usually out of bed by 7:30. Quite often, I even wake up before the alarm goes off and I just kind of lay in bed and just let, just kind of go off in my thoughts and the plans that I'm making. It's just a nice, peaceful, comfortable time sometimes to lay in your bed. And I think we get up and rush way too much, right? That it should be kind of a luxury every once in a while just to, I don't know, just to relax and kind of ease into your day rather than being thrown into your day. So Friday I went to work and my went out seven, like I said, seven of these spasms. One that somebody told me it's called sciatus or something like this, and it comes from lower back injuries, right? And so that made sense to me because my back was so sore I didn't think I would be able to come in Saturday. But number one, right? Who's going to cover me, right? The manager's away for the week. She gave the assistant manager the weekend off because she had to pull and cover shifts during the week. I'm left with trainees. The job's still got to get done. And number two, Cindy always shows up for work. That's on me because I recognize and I said to myself that, if I can't make it in, I'm going to call in sick. And this was before I felt ill or I was sore or anything. I had made that decision that, it's the stupidest thing, a claim to fame, and your only claim to fame is the fact that you've never missed a day of work in your entire life, right? And who goes through their entire life and doesn't need to take time off? So that means that I was working lots when I shouldn't have been working, right? And it was only in my guilt and shame that I worked. And so recently I said, if I need to take the time off, I'm going to take the time off, right? I'm not going to be that perfect employee, right? And I'm only that perfect employee in that aspect because I make myself do that, right? So what happens? I go, I save the day. I do exactly what I say that I'm not going to do, but it was only because I could do it, right? I had a lady come in and she did a hands and she prayed for me all aloud and stuff. Hope Cindy's back gets better. She's got a job she needs to do, help her get the job done. And miraculously, I came in Saturday and I managed the whole shift. I know Saturdays is pretty rough on me because I have Charlie horses at night because I have to physically work so hard in a certain pace, a certain speed at that too. And I end up having Charlie horses usually Saturdays or Sunday nights until I recognize that I need some water. And let's have a sip of my coffee. Good cup of coffee. And and then I'm good until the next week. But it's in that patterning that I recognize that I'm just overexerting myself on my weekends. It is a busy, and I should drink more water. And I have been taking in better fluids that do hydrate me. I have been doing that in the past couple of weeks, but I didn't do it this week because I didn't want to get my snow pants and get geared up when my back was sore and I could slip on the ice and who's going to watch the store, who's going to save the day, right? Such a silly bird sometimes. But in any case, I felt pretty good yesterday. I didn't feel good. I was still sore. My back was still feeling like it could give on me. I still looked 100 years old when I was walking because, right, I was stiffening and tensing up because I thought that it was going to slip again. I can even right now I can feel it wants to go this way, right? It wants to pop out and go this way. And if it does pop up, I'm out of commission. A couple of weeks, I am out of it because I made that promise to myself. I'm not going to put myself. I remember I used to put a hot water bottle in my underwear, and I would go to work in that excruciating pain. And when that happened to me, and it only happens once a year. Last year I didn't get it, so it's been 2 years since I had one of those episodes. But every time I've had one, I've gone to work. I've held myself accountable, right? Kept to my claim for fame. And this weekend, it was unintentional. I just felt that other people had a long week. They had to pick up shifts, and it made for an extra long week. So maybe if they didn't even work that hard, at the very least, they had to be present every single one of those days for more than a week straight. Right? Forget that. I can't do that. No, I'm living my life. I'm living my life. And, I pulled through this weekend. I did. I was all to myself. I was all proud of myself, but I am hurting. My back is hurting, and I'm grateful that it's my days off. But I understand also that I have to be moving, like physically moving, or I'm going to tighten up. And if I tighten up, right, which I will because I've been right nice and loose all weekend because I couldn't slow down, I couldn't stop. But now I'm going to stop. I'm in my chair. Nothing more painful than this chair, sitting in a chair. I'd much rather be outside going for walks or being at work, running 100 miles an hour. Sitting in a chair is putting me in a position that I'm naturally not inclined to be doing right now. And this isn't a grumbling and complain. It's just kind of, making note when people suffer that sometimes we beat ourselves up and sometimes we compulse about things that we really can't do anything about. I mean, you could take aspirin and ibuprofen, which was suggested to me, but it turned out the ibuprofen would have been a bad thing for me to take because it takes away the inflammation immediately. It works. It's not a matter of whether it works or not. It works. And a lady gave me a couple of pills when that first night when I had those 7 spasms. It was just unbearable. It was like I had to close the store and everything. It's not like I could go anywhere. So I was there, and the job still has to be done too. And I managed to get through it. And she was kind enough to give me the ibuprofen, which possibly have made it so that I could get through that night at work. But when I got home and I didn't even Google. It was just, I don't know how Google knows, but it was just there. And it was, the title of the video is why ibuprofen is not good for you. And the fact is, when you hurt yourself in your back, you're supposed to feel that pain, because when you feel that pain, you're sending the messages to those forms in your body to go and say, hey, something's hurting. Let's go and make it better. When you take the ibuprofen, it takes away the inflammation. Your body doesn't know that it's in distress, right? And then when finally it does figure out that it's in distress, it's hindered by the ibuprofen. And not only that, things don't heal up properly. I'm all about healing, you guys. And I said that's not going to happen. And I didn't take any more ibuprofen. I said I would take aspirin if I needed the aspirin because I really thought I was going to need it. I managed all weekend, you guys. I'm home right now. We're doing this live right now. I'm smiling. I got days off. I got through it. And I have that privilege now when she phones me and says, Cindy, I just can't, right? I'm screwed. You got to help me. That's when I will say, I'm sorry. I can't. I'm hurting too. I made it through the weekend because there was nobody else to cover me, but I'm hurting. I'm hurting too. But the truth is, I would have shown up, wouldn't I? because I've never missed a day of work. So how could I win, right? Can't win for losing. And that's the truth. But if she phones me tomorrow and says, "Can you cover a shift?" That answer will be no, because my body needs some rest. It needs some fluids. I'll make sure that it gets its fluids and its rest. And how about a little bit of joy? And how about a little bit for my brand? And how about a little bit of getting ahead in the household? And how about wrapping some of those presents for Christmas and getting those things out of the way, right? Because otherwise I'm just going to keep buying stuff. I bought a couple of more presents, one for my brother-in-law and my sister, right? I saw them, they came in and went, "Oh yeah, they'll like these," right? So I grabbed them matchies, and yeah, they'll like them. So they got added to their piles, but I think their presents are done, right? So I gotta start wrapping things up, getting them in their recycle bags so that they're ready to hand out to their uh, perspective families, right? Because they're broken up, nieces, great nieces, right? And mothers and sisters, and yeah. So, but we all see each other. We might not see. I think we do. I think we do see each other over the Christmas holidays. It's been a little bit hard since the COVID, right? And because we are mature and we have our own families and stuff now, right? Everybody's doing their own thing, and I'm grateful for that, to be left alone to do my thing, because right? Right? I don't know if I could do what I was doing right now if I had, right, paid attention. And it's not that I'm not paying attention. I'm paying attention, right? But I have to take care of what I'm being asked to take care of, right? So yeah, pretty neat. Oh, and here comes Nancy. Hello, Nancy. Okay, so I'm gonna come back into some of these comments. I got a full bin for next show and tell, you guys. Boy, do I got a full bin. I found some really neat things, and they're things for myself. I'm going to try and save my quilt. I think it's kind of useless because I put my foot through it, and it's the cotton batten is just being pulled out and everything. But I just love this quilt, and it's so comfortable. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to buy a duvet with my staff discount. It was only $7, and I'm going to just put my quilt inside the duvet and see if I like that. Part of what I like the most is the fabric on my quilt, and I won't have that because it'll be stuffed in its own gift wrapping. But maybe it'll be nice. I'm going to give it a shot. I can't afford the IKEA quilt, which it is. It's the IKEA quilt. They're very, very expensive. And this one came into the store. I think I got it for like $10. And right? Oh my goodness. Like, so many beautiful quilts have come into the store already that I could have had over and over and over again. And yet I'm attached to this. Like, what's the name? What's the name of the little kid on Charlie Brown who walks around with his thumb in his mouth and has his blanket? What's his name? I can't remember. I can't remember his name, but let's come back into some of those comments here. Let's see. I'm gonna put this mouse over here. I have two mouse, one for my PC and one for my laptop. Okay, Linus. Yeah, like Linus. So I'm like Linus with my bed quilt, and I don't know why, because I could have a beautiful quilt. This one is not beautiful, like physically beautiful anymore. It's just shredded, and yeah, but I'm attached to it. We get attached to certain things, don't we? And it's just the way they are. We'll just wear them until they're tatters. I'm just looking at my pajamas here. I have a pajama top, and it's covered in sheep. It's my favorite pajamas. On my days off, if I decide I'm not going to leave the house, I put on a pair of sweat and that pajama top, and those are my clothing, and I'll just live in them. If you give me a couple of days to stay home, I'll just live in them. But that top is so old. It was old when I got it, and I've had it for years, but I absolutely love it. And it's not something that I think I'm going to pass on anytime soon, but my taste is always changing, you guys. I'm always taking donations, and I'm having little conversations and just saying, "Sydney, give that top another chance." Oh, Cindy, you'll get into those pants next year. No, fold them up, put them in a bag. They're getting redonated, right? It's all right. It's all good. I have way too many clothes, and I don't want to be putting on clothes for work that aren't fitting comfortably just to have to tear them off and put something else on. I'm just not that person. I'd much rather know that everything in my closet fits good. And if it doesn't, it can be redonated and I'll pick out another outfit. I think all I bought for clothing um, this paycheck coming up is I bought a summer dress. Couldn't help it. It was brand new. It still had the tags on it and everything. And what a pretty dress it was. And so I bought a dress and I bought a toque. I think that's all I bought for tops and clothes at all. And everything else are just little household items, little again Christmas items that I can add to whoever I bought them for. I just like, oh, so and so like that. Oh, ooh, I wonder what size feet he has. He'd love to have these. And next thing you know, you guys, everybody's getting like big boxes of numerous things for Christmas. I just wanted to keep it tight, but the thing is, I was pretty excited because 2 weeks ago, I knew Christmas was coming up, but I needed to know where I was at in Christmas. Year before last, I did. Year before last? No, it was quite a few years ago, a couple of years ago anyway. When I first got this job, I spent $18 and I got 13 presents for my family. Amazing presents that everybody absolutely loved. Last year, I spent a little bit more money. Number one, my sister likes the new stuff. She's a bit of a knit girl, my sister Tracy. So I spent a little bit extra on her because she's so kind. She's always taken good care of me when I was short, and she's forward thinking. And we talk about, well, if you come on to my other shows, we talk about a little bit about dry bagging, and that was the way I asked for things because I was brought up not to ask for things. So I don't necessarily ever ask for things. But I dance and hint and nudge and wink, wink, and right. And that's how it's called dry bagging when you do that. And my sister is very good at picking that stuff up. And she's always taking care of me that way. Sometimes I don't even have to dry bag. She just knows me so well that she just kind of second guess my needs, and she'll take care of it. It's just her nature to do that, right? I lost track where I was talking. Is Mary Kay here too? Oh my goodness. Okay, let's come back into the comments and see who's here tonight. Owen and Andrew, my guys here, first time ever. And Melvin, he comes into my What's My Good Cheer podcast all the time. He's pretty consistent over there, and he always gives me his good cheer when he pops into my live shows. I'm glad you got your keyboard fixed. I always keep a spare keyboard in my closet, in my hall closet. I always pick one up when I trash them. Right, I don't like to go without my computer. I'm sure I could do on screen keyboard or something, but I always spill my coffees on my desk. It happens at least twice a year. And that's why my laptop is raised so that if I should drop a coffee, my laptop is good. I'm not going to hurt my laptop in any way. The keyboard is another thing because it just sits here on my desk. And so when I spill my coffee, it usually gets pretty fried. The last two keyboards, I actually was able to put under the kitchen sink, running water under the kitchen sink, and I ran water through the entire keyboards and I got all the stickiness out and everything, right? And then I leaned them up against the wall and I put my fan on them. And both times, right? There was no problem at all. They ran and worked absolutely perfectly. But then the next time I spilled a coffee on them, it didn't work the second time. And it's like, okay, time to get a new keyboard. But when I buy a new keyboard, I always make sure that I buy two, right? Because one that I'm taking out of the closet, no, I only buy one. So I take one out of the closet, and then at work, I pick up another one and I put it back into the closet. So when I do it again, I have a spare right away, right? I get them. They're like $2 or $3. Oh, $2 with my staff discount. I don't think I've ever paid more than a couple dollars for a keyboard. And most of my keyboards, right? I just look for the new ones. I don't look at something that looks older. It's on my list, you guys. I guess I should say I made my list for the year. Some of the things on my list this year are things that were on my list last year that I didn't accomplish. I accomplished lots last year, you guys. I got a lot of good done last year, and I could have and should have completed one that I know for sure that I could have, but when that money flowed in, I piddled that money away to the point where there was no point in, right, getting it done. And I could have had it done again because I had that money saved, but we're not allowed to touch the holiday money. So that's right. I could very easily be that person to spend it. And that money that I put away for the holidays is for the holidays, and it's not for bills, it's not for different goals, right? It's not to lend out. It's not for anything except for my holidays. And it's a pretty big chunk. I would say it's 3/4 of the money that I put together for the trip, and I don't touch that. So this year, my teeth. I need to see a dentist and get my chip in my tooth, and I'm gonna have to have that all fixed up. That was on my list last year, you guys, and I had the money. I could have done it. And like I said, I just piddled that money. So it's on my list. I also on my list this year is I need a new desktop computer. They're not very expensive because the desktop computer for me is just for browsing, is just for taking in the lessons. It's just the fact that I have this great big huge beautiful monitor. It's perfect for taking in lessons, and it makes it a lot more enjoyable instead of watching a little screen or watching it on my phone, that I can actually have it in a nice size. Um, Also, I like having the Wi-Fi, using the Wi-Fi off of the system that has my internet, which is my landline, right? So yeah, I like having a PC, but I also like having my laptop. And laptop was one of my goals last year, you guys, right? And I did it. I got that laptop, and that was scary, right? I didn't even know if it was going to make it. I spent $1,000 on this laptop, but I got it at a fraction of its value. Like, it's a $5,000 laptop that I got for $1,000, and I didn't know whether I was going to be scammed, right? I was able to build it the way, like, give the specs that I wanted, that I knew that I needed to be able to have nice, smooth editing programs on it. And it's been a fantastic. And this is a Dell computer that I have, and it's really quite a magnificent piece. They left it. They did. They left it against my sister's door. Anybody in her apartment block could have walked by and picked up the package, right? But she did get a message, and she was able to take some time off work so she could go home and pick up my laptop. I was so proud of myself when I did that because it was spur of the moment, right? I didn't want to part with that $1,000, but I needed that laptop. I knew I was going to be editing videos, and what's the point of, you know, planning my big trip if I can't share my big trip with my YouTube audience, right? Like, it has to happen, and and it happened, and it was so smooth and get it. So I'm really proud that I did get my laptop. Did I save my list from last year here? I think I put it away already. There were a few things on that list, and I did really, really good. My trip, my holiday, that was on the list, right? Trying to think of the my avalanche boots, my new Keen boots, winter boots. I got those. I got like some of those things were just small things, but in the bigger scheme of things, very important things, right? To me at the very least. Um oh yeah, the workshop. I didn't do the workshop. I wanted to go to a workshop or a seminar or a retreat. There are a few people that I do follow and I do admire and I do appreciate the time that they spend in the creation of their own content. And even though their content is a lot different from mine, it's that effort and that heart that they put in, right? And it's their characters, right? It's the humans that they are. It's the magnificence of the human and those other parts of themselves that are just absolutely beautiful combinations. And I would love to go. Lots of people, they say, well, I gotta go see Tony Robbins, right? And I guess most people know who Tony Robbins is, right? He's an inspirational motivational speaker, but he's not my kind of thought leadership. I'd like to hang out with people who are about the kids and their upbringing, that I could have done so much better if I had proper mentoring, proper, that's what it is, proper mentoring, and made that mentoring would be able to show me how to make better choices for myself and feel I could make better choices for myself, because I feel the kids these days, they don't have that, right? They don't have that. And I'd like to help in that somehow. But, right, sometimes I just can't get to the kids. My channel is even locked to anybody that's under 18 years old, right? I just don't even want them in my content because they're so lost, that they're so easily influenced by absolutely everything, and right, and they should find what's theirs on their own terms rather than being spoon fed somebody else's ideas, right? I got to resonate with what came across my path, right, and not resonate with a lot of content that came across my path. Some of it is really hard to digest, and some of it is hard to digest, but out of that same thought leadership, magnificent, magnificent ideas, magnificent creativity, and magnificent truths in that. And then, yet the rest of it, in my mind, I'm just saying, oh, send it to the curb. But in those few insights can absolutely blow me away. But I have my favorites, you guys. I do have my favorites. I don't consistently share them because it's in those ideas. If somebody wanted to get at me, and because I'm not quite following the norms and what's going on out there on YouTube, and I'm following just what's going on with me and sharing it, right? I would hate to think that anybody I cared about would be uh, right, right. They can't get to me, so they get to other people. And as I sometimes worry about this with my sisters, right? Especially with my sister Tracy, who's had so many issues as long as I've had so many insights. And so I have to give that a cause for thought, don't I? And so it makes me a little bit more cautious and conscious about, right, how I show up, right? But I want to show up. I want to be with amazing people. I had a lady yesterday, right? She heard about my back and she came into the store, and I may have mentioned her a couple of times. She may have even come into my live show a couple of times. Her name's Shelley. She wouldn't mind me telling you, her name, and I became close to their family, the husband, the son, right, the mother-in-law, like they're really nice, and they took me under their wing, but they're very Christian. Like when I say very Christian, we're talking uh, they right, they could stand on a podium and give a service themselves. That's how religious they are, and you have to respect that, right? And because I'm somebody who kind of pays attention, right? I don't want to ever disrespect somebody, but I have my own ideas, right? In this lifetime, I don't believe I am Christian. But I have there's lots of Christian influence. I tell you, my mom had me at every church that she could possibly get me to until I would think I was 12 or 13 years old, and then she just let me make my choice, or she just couldn't be bothered, right? She just did her own thing at that point, right? So there is an influence there. And yesterday, when I was at work, I was really hurting at work, right? And she says, Cindy, can I pray for you? That stuff, it embarrasses me a little bit. It shouldn't, right? It's beautiful. I told her how beautiful it was. And she expressed a little prayer over me. She held her hand up and she voiced it so I could hear it. And I just like, oh my goodness, that was absolutely just beautiful. Well, I had to message her tonight when I got home from work to say, hey, like I said, right, earlier in the conversation, I got through my weekend. I didn't think I was going to be able to, you guys. I thought I needed to be at home. I had 7 of these spasms at work on Friday. I had 2 on Saturday, but only 2, and they only last like less than 30 seconds and they're gone, right? Of course, I'm sore, but I expected to be incoherent, unavailable physically, right? And even as the team leader for the weekend, right, I was going to be out of it, and I had to trust that the people that I worked with me loved me enough that they would understand and pick up the slack. And when I came into work, I gave everybody the heads up as to what was going on with me. Told them I would do my very best, and I did my very best, and my very best was a lot more than what I expected it to be. And so I messaged Shelly tonight when I got home from work, and I said, "Thank you so much." Right? I think your prayer helped me a little bit. I really do, because I really didn't think there was any hope for me this weekend at all. I'm just going to come back into the comments here because I know I'm missing stuff. Okay. Uh oh, the processed food. I've been weaning myself off. I've got meat in my freezer. I'm going to make myself maybe stew and potatoes, right? For dinner in the next couple of days. Maybe in the next couple of days I'll make myself a couple of nice meals. I had fish last night. I really enjoyed the fish. I don't eat like fish fillets or anything like that. But if you coat it in breadcrumbs so I don't know that it's an animal, I will chow it down. Right? And I'll enjoy it. I might even pick the dark spots and stuff. I am a fussy eater when it comes to meat, you guys. I admit to that. My parents would have say, "What do you guys want for dinner?" Very rarely would they say Kentucky Fried Chicken, right? Or I would say, right? I would never volunteer Kentucky Fried Chicken. I'd more likely say Chinese food or pizza, right? I would never say Kentucky Fried Chicken or Church's Chicken or whatever the chicken was. I would never, because it wasn't my favorite, right? And if it did come, it was the meal. I would have to have the white meat because I can't see, like I don't like to know that it's an animal. I would have made, if I had grown up with parents that were vegetarians, I think I would have probably done very, very well in that as a vegetarian. But that wasn't my upbringing, right? So that tolerance for meat. And I do like you give me a hamburger, it gone. You give me hot dogs and wieners, gone. Right? Sausages, gone. Right? What's the commonality in that? It's all ground up. doesn't look like real meat. It doesn't look like flesh, right? And that's why they're my favorite meats, right? The white meat off a turkey or chicken, right? Ground meat, hot dogs, right? And if I have a stew, I said I was going to have stew and potatoes. I cook it so long that it just falls apart. There are no tendons or blubber, no nothing. It's just all dissolved in that goodness, and I can get it done and enjoy it, right? But I would have been a very good vegetarian. I don't know if any of you guys are vegetarians out there, but yeah, I think I would have made a very good vegetarian. Um, I was on diets for the most part of my life. I'm sure I was on those vegetarian diets for sure. I was on salad diets. I know I was on salad diets and soup diets and Atkin diets and tower. They call it towers diets and Weight Watchers diets and all kinds of diets. Yeah. We didn't have the keto diet, which is pretty much the Atkins diet, right? The keto diet. But I think that one's pretty recent, that one, the ketos, 80s, 90s, something like that. But when I was growing up, it was the Atkins diet, which was like just protein straight across the board. Okay. Hello, Nancy, dear. Hello, Nancy. You guys pop in later, say hi in the comments, let me know that you guys have popped in. That would be absolutely amazing. I know that there are people that come in and watch the live shows. Oh, and Kathy's here. Hello, Kathy. Nancy says, "Can you send me some Turkish delights, lol? That's all I want for Christmas." You know what? Nancy, your package is on hold. You weren't here last week, but Canada Post is on strike. I can't send any of my packages. If the post office is the strike is not over by now, your package won't get to you before Christmas. So I decided to wait till January 1st to send my packages out. We're going to hope that the strike is over before January 1st. But 100%, they're not Turkish. Well, I guess technically they're Turkish delights, Nancy, but they're actually called Big Turks. They were my favorite when I was a kid and we got to choose chocolate bars. You know, sometimes my dad would come home on his break from work and he'd say, "Go get us some pop and chocolate bars. Or get some chocolate bars and a bag of potato chips for everybody." And we all got to pick our own chocolate bars. But yeah, that Big Turk, it was one of my favorites. I really liked that one. It wasn't enough candy for me compared to the other chocolate bars. So my backup was a chocolate bar called Mr. Big. They don't have that one in the States, but I think I sent you one, Nancy. If I'm correct, I sent you a Mr. Big. That was also one of my favorites. It was a big chocolate bar. That was probably one of my other favorites. But then there were like the Kit Kats and the coffee crisps too that I really love. But yeah, the Big Turk, what a good candy. And that the Big Turk is actually a chocolate bar, but what it is, it's like, those fruit jellies with the sugar on them. It's the jelly part of it shaped like a chocolate bar, right? And then it's dipped in chocolate, and you get two pieces of those in a package, right? And it's meant to be a chocolate bar, but it's more candy than chocolate bar. It's like jelly candy inside of chocolate coating. It's really, really good. But definitely, Nancy, I'll send you those chocolate bars. I got a few outfits for the kids. I think I got a miniature train for you. There was a couple of things I've picked up for you. Like I said, I've got all my stuff in the boxes. I got to start wrapping, and I'll properly check things off the list. But yeah, I've got 3 packages to go out this year, and I can't even send the Christmas cards out, you guys. not this year. I won't be sending the Christmas cards. But if we get back to my goal list, we have our Christmas party, which I will be doing the community post for on this set of days off. It's on my goal list to get this done on this set of days off. So we're going to get the community post ready. So our Christmas Eve party gets a little bit of notice out there. If anybody else wants to join us on Christmas Eve, we've been doing this for years now. I don't even know how many years we've been doing this. But Christmas Eve, if you want to come and hang out with us, fix your favorite drink. I usually open my Christmas stocking that my sister Tracy, again, my wonderful Tracy, who thinks of my needs, and you can tell just by the things in my Christmas stocking that she does. She considers my needs, and she gets me everything that I like and everything that I love, and she puts it in the stocking. I give her heck last year because I didn't get my tube of toothpaste, because she usually gives me toothpaste every year, and she didn't give me my toothpaste, so this year I'll get some toothpaste. Yeah, but also we have another party this year, you guys, on New Year's Eve. I want to do a premiere on New Year's Eve, because New Year's Eve will be the 10th year anniversary of my first YouTube video, my first Explore. I'll probably put a piece in there. I don't know if all of you guys have seen it, but it was an abandoned house way up out on a hill. Me and my friend Megan, we went away for the weekend, and we found this beautiful abandon. It was fun, but I wasn't a very good filmer at the time, or a very good editor. So I'm thinking if I can pull that video up, that I would do a much better job this time. But I wouldn't show the whole video. I just want to show pieces of the story of what led me up to where I'm at right now. And there are so many amazing explores and adventures that I've had over the past 10 years. And I thought that I would start work on that one. We have 2 more videos. The video I'm editing tomorrow, hopefully I get it done tomorrow. It might take me 2 days, but it'll be uploaded on Wednesday, because it makes it for Wednesday will be my day off, just to flake out, do what I want, go for a walk, spend time with my sister. That will be Wednesday. But tomorrow I want to work on editing the very last video. There is one more video, but I'm thinking maybe I would keep it. It was a very, very amazing experience, overnight experience that I had on the trip that I didn't share with you guys. Not right now, maybe next year, right? Maybe 10 years from now. Maybe I'll never share it. Maybe I'll just keep it for myself, right? But I always share everything eventually here, I think. And so I have one more video. It's my trip and my stay at Caliper Provincial Park. It was beautiful. Loved it. It was the perfect campground for my very last day, and I tried to get as much footage as I possibly could, and I did, right before my phone totally died on me, so I didn't get anything else on the trip home. But I did start filming, because I was going to wash all my rocks and crystals from my trip, and I was doing a video, and that's when it died, when I was a few minutes into my making the video for everybody. So I wasn't able to get any more video. So all I did is I packed everything up into the bags, and I put them back into the big zipper bag. When I came home from my trip, that was the only thing that I didn't put away. It's sitting underneath my kitchen table. So I'll have one more video, you guys, from my trip after tomorrow's video. So next week or the week after, we'll do the rocks, and I'll take it down to the community center downstairs. We have a little community center. We have a couple of them in the building, but we have a community center downstairs, and it's got a kitchen area and everything. So what I'll do is I'll make a video down there and we can lay it out, everything out across the tables and the sinks there, and I can wash everything. And I can have my tripods going and we can make one more video. We can have like a little end cap to the trip, right? So I have two parties. We have the New Year's Eve party, we have the Christmas Eve party. The New Year's Eve party will be a premiere, which means I'll be in the comments with you that night, you guys. I won't be chatting with you online, but it'll be a video, but I will be with you in the comments. So I'll be ready to go with my keyboard, ready to go. And actually, I'll be able to watch it on my big PC. And I've got, right, it'll be perfect for me. So we'll have a great time on New Year's Eve. My 10th year anniversary on YouTube. Absolutely amazing. It has been absolutely fantastic. My experience with YouTube, I cannot say enough, right? Grateful for the tolerance and all the pivots that I've made along the way, right? If I had my choice, I would have just left it with the urban exploration. But you look at it now, there was no place for me in that category of urban exploration, except for my love for the old houses, the old abandoned homes, and the history and the stories of the families who lived in them, right? But there was only so many abandons. I would only be able to do it for how long, right? Eventually, I would be old and decrepit and, right, would have had to pivot anyway. And the pivots that I made, absolutely incredible, right? Right? Like I could not have figured the direction that I would have been going in, not in a million years, right? And that's the evidence for myself, and in the evidence of me showing up. I right, you guys have been with me for just as long as I've been on YouTube, 10 years, that you guys know just as well as I do that one pivot after another, that was hard because YouTube and Google are trying to get a grasp on who I am and what I'm all about. As soon as they think they've got it, while Cindy's going, oh, pivot time. And the next thing you know, I'm doing something totally different, right? And the only thing that is the same is you guys. You guys are stuck through me, are stuck to me that whole time. That entire 10 years, you guys were the only thing that didn't change, which is incredible because the topics I have been skipping through so many, pivoted so many times, that I would have thought that you guys would have given up on me like a long time ago. And you guys just took this ride. You guys just took this ride with me. And I think that's fantastic. I'm very grateful. I'm very grateful for that. It's incredulous, right? To even think that that was possible. And we're all so different, right? Right? And just as much as my friend Shelley, right? I'm not a Christian, right? But my friend Shelley, she's a holy roller for sure, and proud of it. And I'm proud of her too, right? To be able to hold your own that way and your opinions. And even though, right, we all have different opinions and not all those opinions can be right, then she holds true to her beliefs, right? And you can't fault somebody who's able to do that. She did a very good job at keeping me going this weekend because I should have been flat, not even on my back. I should have been on my stomach or every night I came home, I filled that tub up with water and I just laid in it like it was the Dead Sea and just let myself just float in it because it was the only thing that could take away from the pain. And again, I know I'm just masking it, right? Because it's just making me feel good in the moment. But it was what I needed. I needed to feel good in the moment, if just for the moment. Last night I was actually even able to sleep pretty good. So I'm pretty decent with how things worked out, right? And that disc is still on the verge of slipping, but I got through this weekend and I got through my sister's move. And if I can relax for a couple of days, if I could just stay in the house and do some chores and work on my goals, right? At the very least, I've got a video to edit. I've got to go through all the footage from the past 10 years. I won't go cleaning right through it. I basically know the interesting stuff and the fun stuff and the stuff that impacted me and the stuff that maybe I was a little bit embarrassed to share. There's a lot of that, you guys, right? There's a lot of it. I wasn't as steadfast on my feet on my ideas and in my beliefs at that time. And so, again, we talk about dry bagging. I kind of danced around the truth in a lot of it, but I hope lots of it was picked up because I know that I hang with a pretty smart crew, right? Pretty smart crew. Grateful to have every one of you guys on my team. But yeah, sorry about that, Nancy. Again, I've got a few packages going out, but I won't be sending them out until January. So just give you the heads up if you think that there's a package coming. Yeah, it's going to be stalled out a little bit. It is what it is. It's Canada Post. It's holding the government or whoever's in charge of the funds, right? They're on strike, responsible, but they're using the public as hostage, as leverage to have their needs met. And that's kind of low handed as far as I'm concerned because you're not fighting for something on your own merit. You're being coercive. And whether you're a good person or a bad person, you use coercive, you got to be at fault for that, right? Right? Yeah. Okay, coming down here. But yeah, Turkish Delights, they'll be heading down with the packages there, Nancy. No worries. Oh, do you like the Christmas? I enjoy the Christmas Eve parties. I first started the Christmas Eve parties, Kathy, because I had met a couple of people in some mentorship and stuff, and I just knew that they were going to be spending time alone at Christmas. And one was somebody, well, there were a few of them. There was somebody who had just broken up with their wife and they were by themselves. There was another one was somebody who just naturally is introverted and hangs with themselves. They don't normally hang out with other people. And then the other one was I can't remember what the other one was, but I felt super busy. They were workaholic and right and just not taking time for the holidays and stuff. But it's important for us to have community, right? And I was that person. I was very introverted. I had very few friends. Even when I got skinny and beautiful. I just right, beautiful. Like, I got a lot more attention, right? When I was younger after I had lost all that weight that it became a lot easier for me, but because I lived my whole life as somebody who was obese and somebody who was rejected and dejected, I carried on with that in my own personal life because even though the exterior changed, the interior hadn't changed, right? And so I knew what it felt like to be right on the outskirts of what was cool or what was accepted or what was the in crowd, right? And I think there must have been something about me that wanted to be seen and to be heard, right? I couldn't hide. I tried to hide. I couldn't hide. I was a big girl, right? I couldn't hide. And if somebody was in a bad mood and needed to take something out, right? I was just like a billboard, literally like a billboard for somebody to make nasty comments to, and I didn't know. I just took it as truth, right? There was a time when I was that person, and I didn't think anybody cared or if there was any social groups for me. It took a long time for me to accept myself, and I have to be honest, I don't always truly accept myself, or I would be in a different place right in this moment. So I have to accept that too, right? But yeah, it is a growing process too. And so I just wanted to start those parties only because Christmas Eve, it's a sad time, right? I lost somebody over the Christmas holidays who was very, very special and dear to me. And maybe if there was a show like mine that they could go in and just talk or just hang out, not even talk or even let anybody know that they were in on the show, that at least they would feel like they were part of it, right? Even if they weren't really being a part of it, and just get them through that rough time, right? That busy time. And that's why I started it. But in the end, I felt like I needed it more just as much as anybody else, right? Because I was that person. I am that person. And again, I'm finding my crew, and you guys have not changed. I've pivoted how many times, you guys? Right? 4 or 5 times. It must have been 4 or 5 times at least. And you guys stayed with me that entire time. I think that's absolutely, it's mind blowing is what it is, because I think I've gone through so many changes. Like personally, I've like my whole persona has changed so much that I would think, oh my goodness, why are they still hanging out with me? Right? I can't make up my mind, and yet they still hang out with me. And I think in the end, it's just in that heart and in feeling those hearts. I think that's truly what it is. It was just like my friend Shelley yesterday when she asked if she could give me a little prayer, and she lifted up her hand and she put her arms on my shoulder and she did a little prayer for me. Oh, help Cindy. She's hurting bad right now. The, right? If you can make it so that she can fulfill her responsibilities and get her job done. And she added all the right words to it, words that I would, because it's important for me to get the job done well. And she knew I wasn't going to go anywhere, but help alleviate, help to make it a little bit better. And it was a little bit better. It wasn't about taking that pain away, right? And making it so Cindy's having a fantastic day at work. I made it the best that I could. Brought in as much money as I could from the boss people. Made sure that the place was as clean and as pretty and as organized, maybe a little bit ahead because I'm a bit of a, right? I like to add a little bit my own extra touches and make sure the job gets done properly so the manager can start their week off without having to finish the job that we should have been able to finish, right? And also get a little bit extra training in, because at the same time that we were working this weekend, there's still lots of new people that still need to learn some ways of doing things that are consistent in how we do things, right? It's just how we do things, and it's how we've always done things. We're all on the manager's team. If this is the way she's got it done, then we're all doing it this way, so this is how we do it. So there's a little bit of training in that too. And I smiled. I smiled through that. There was only one time that I didn't smile today. It was really strange, right? In the store, we have these shopping carts. I don't know. We pick them up in the alleys every once in a while. And I don't know how we've accumulated them. We've had them over, I'm sure, over 10 years they've been in a store. And I had the cashier up there, and she says, Cindy, I go, what? I'm off in the aisle doing something. She goes, they're taking our shopping carts. And I went, what? And I ran up to the front, and they go, they're taking our shopping carts. I told them they could take the, where are you taking the shopping carts? We're leaving. They're ours. And I said, those aren't yours. You're not taking those shopping carts anywhere. I grabbed the shopping carts. He goes, "There are carts. We collect these carts. We're returning them." And I says, no, you're not. You're not touching these carts. Not on my shift. You can talk to the manager or you can phone head office, but you're not touching these carts. And I get out of my store right now because I got work to do. I can't be guarding these carts all night because I need you to leave. We're not going. We want these carts. They were only collecting stray carts so they can return them for refunds. They get money for collecting carts, and they knew we had carts, so they were coming to get them. These carts are so old. They don't even make carts like these anymore. They all have money where you got to put a loonie in there to get. These are just old carts, and the stores had them for like 10 years, I'm sure. But yeah, so I messaged the manager, let her know that these guys were doing it. But they really upset me. Like, you guys, get out of the store. I've had enough with you. And then I called for the back room guy. Says, get up here. Says, you see all these carts? Take them into the back room and just leave them in there. I go, why? Says, don't ask me why. Just take them to the back room. And so he took them off to the back, took them to the back room. And then he came back up front because he saw I was having some kind of confrontation with these guys, right? Just just shake my head at that, right? And really aggressive, right? They're men and they think that they sometimes can put women in their places, and they thought this is why I have the pink bangs, you guys, right? It's to give you a minute to say, ooh, she's got some personality. I better think before I open up my mouth. It's usually all good. I don't usually get upset like that, but you're not messing with my shift, right? This is not my property. This is not your property. And until the authorities talk to somebody, it ain't leaving the store, so you can just leave. And then they finally left, and I brought the carts back. The run-ins that we get sometimes, but this is the world that we live in, that sometimes we have to kind of dance with these unique and dynamic and eccentric personalities because people are steadfast in their beliefs, right? And when I come in here and I rub with people's beliefs, right, it makes me feel bad. I don't want to rub with anybody's beliefs, right? I'm just trying to find my place where I could just be myself, be who I am, and be accepted. And that blows that's what blows me away, to know that you guys are here with me and have been with me for 10 years, right? That's crazy. Most of you guys here tonight have been with me that entire time, all those different pivots, right? Yeah. I hope I don't disappoint you guys. I know it's a lot different from what I used to do, but we're going to have lots of fun times. I know we are, you guys. I know we are. Okay. We're just going to backtrack a little bit here. Back to Kathy's comment about loving on the Christmas party. Yeah, so the Christmas party for sure. We're going to do a little bit of look back. We'll see how good of a video. I want my video to be at least an hour or an hour and a half in celebration for my 10-year anniversary. We're just going to look back at some of those great explores, some of those adventures, some of those walks, some of those campsites, some of those Ontario trips, some of those rock hounding trips, some of those bottle digging, right? Bottle digging and mudlarking adventures that I do. I have a wonderful life, you guys, right? It might seem trivial and mundane to some, but I look back of all the things that I've done since beginning and starting on YouTube, and I've created, I think, something absolutely magnificent for myself. And it belongs to me, right? It only belongs to me. And then I just share it out there. And I did it myself, right? It's just not like coming in here and hitting go live and you just go live. Yeah, you can do that. But in the channel building, in the branding, in the tags, in the descriptions, in the links, in the other sharing platforms, in the analytics, right? In the different playlists, in the different advertisings and app building, and these are all things that I've learned in the process that were totally outside of hitting that play button on my phone, right? And on top of that, my phone, right? In the beginning of my adventures, I used a camcorder too. I had an old camcorder that I used. I really liked the footage from the camcorder, but it wasn't a great videoer at that time either. I did the best that I could, but it wasn't great. But I'm sure I considered myself a great photographer. And, I think I got some short clips. And because we're going to be doing a premiere, those are all going to be clips anyway. I'm going to do my very best to make something magnificent for you guys and for myself to prove to myself that I can. I might do some voiceover, right? Share some insights, things that I didn't, you know, delve into a little bit deeper, even though at the moment I thought maybe I could have or I should have, right? I didn't always share absolutely everything, but I shared what I thought I was capable of at the time in a creative way of how I was putting it together. So, yeah. So that's what I want to do. But then I have the rest of the things on my goal. Those are two things that I'm working on right now when it comes into January, while we're already saving for my next trip already. But I didn't get the workshop done last year. So we're going to try again in the workshop or the retreat again this year. I need the new desktop computer. I need to get the dental done. And those were the three things that were on my list for goals last year. I had 7 things on the goal list, 3 of them I didn't get done. So they're back on the list for this year. This year, I have 5 things because I thought maybe I just kind of overextended myself last year and what I thought I could accomplish. This year, uh, um, I'm adding the SUV. I'm going to save for a truck instead of renting. I know I said I was going to try last year. We didn't quite make it. We were short a couple of $1,000s. But I think I'm going to make a more conservative effort, right? Get that 10% of my pay put away. Just be more diligent in what I do put away in the savings, in that money that the government gives us here periodically to help us with the rate of inflation and stuff. So there are programs that are put in place so that they add a little bit to our income. I'm going to see if I can apply that also. I get a pension at the end of every month, even though I'm still working. I've hit that age now that there is a little pension. Percentage of that pension is going to get applied to the vehicle too. The type of vehicle I'm going to get, I don't know. I don't know, right? Kind of know what I would like, but what I like and what I can accomplish are two different things. So I think what I'm going to do in the beginning is just to apply myself to save the money, and once I get close to having an idea of how much money I'm going to have to put towards it, right? That's what I'm going to go after. I am an SUV kind of girl, but because next year when I go on my trip, I'm taking my tent, I'm not going to be camping out on the vehicle for 2 reasons. Number one, it'll be cheaper just to get a different kind of vehicle. If I do rent or buy, I can uh, I can use any kind of vehicle, right? As long as it's big enough to hold my gear, it doesn't have to hold my sleeping body, right? Because I'll have my tent. So that'll be really good, right? And that will save me quite a bit of money too, because I'll be purchasing a vehicle this year. I've decided, and we're just going to thank Kathy on this suggestion, because she said she'd like to see me do a little bit more exploring in Manitoba. Prairie Dodgers, after all, right? Right? I'm not evading and I'm not dodging being a prairie girl myself. That's not the idea, even though it may come off that way. I love the prairies. I love community. I love family. I love the way Manitobans are very accepting of each other. The level of prejudiceness is so much lower in comparison to other provinces. Um, and partly it's because we depend on each other to survive. I mean, it gets to minus 40 below, minus 50 below here in the wintertime. And if somebody's car breaks down, right, we're not going to stop and go, oh, you're Chinese. I'm not going to fix you. You're Chinese or help you because you're Chinese or you're Hindu or you're indigenous or you're white. Right? We don't do that here. Somebody needs help. Somebody needs help. And it was something I appreciated that I could be accepted for myself. That judgment, physically, the judgment, that's what it was in truth, right? We didn't judge people by appearances. That's what Manitoba doesn't do. Don't judge people by appearances in comparison to other places in Canada. And I've lived in a couple of provinces, and I think I've visited all of them properly, except for Montreal. Montreal, I only hung out in the airport. But one day I could have crossed the bridge and had croissants for breakfast this past September. I was like just a couple of miles away from Quebec, and right, I was so anxious to get to my next campsite. Didn't even try. Going to be a different story next year, right? But yeah. So an SUV. These are my goals. The workshop, the desktop computer, the dental work, the SUV, and my trip for September. Those are my goals for the year. My two goals that are coming up immediately is the premiere, which I want to start editing and going through all my footage to see what I can put together. Also, the Christmas Eve party. It kind of plays out itself. All I have to do is get myself a bottle of Kahlua because I still have banana liqueur. I think I still even have tequila in my fridge. I'm not a big alcohol person, not at all. Right after Christmas, because I've enjoyed a couple of drinks, maybe I'll have a couple of more over the next few weeks. After that, just thinking I have to get rid of it because it's going to go bad. But from what I understand, alcohol doesn't go bad, and that alcohol in my fridge is just as good today as it was last year or the year before when I bought it. I might have even had those same drinks last year. I'm not quite sure. I'll have to go back to that. Okay, coming down into the comments here. Kathy was vegetarian for 13 years. I, you know what? I really think that I would make a good vegetarian. I don't, it is my understanding in the protein because my dad was a meat and potatoes kind of man, and my dad extended his life by 25 years more than what the doctors had predicted that he was going to be alive for, right? And it was because I think that he ate so well because everything else in his life he wasn't very lenient, right? He always had those great big physical jobs, like he was a commercial fisherman. You guys watch Deadliest Catch on television. You know how hard commercial fishermen, especially how hard they work, and he just loved that job. Nothing was going to stop him from his greatest love, which was being a fisherman, right? But my dad was also a compulsive gambler. Can you imagine the stress? I remember the stress even as a child, not being able to eat properly, that my dad would come home with a 20-pound bag of rice, and we knew we would be eating rices in 100 different styles for an entire month until my dad could get back on his feet. And my dad had my mom who had a good paying job too, so both of them would be struggling in that. I wish I had appreciated that a little bit more than what I did as a kid. Maybe I would have been a little bit more uh understanding towards why my mother was the way she was, but it wasn't just a human thing with my mom. 100%, it was something deep with my mom that was kind of kinked in the way, right? But I would have appreciated that if I had appreciated and recognized how hard she worked to keep that family or my family together, I might have not forgiven her, but I think I might have not been so butt heady, right? Or right, just not give her right because I didn't get it, right? I didn't get what stress, right, and jealousy and pettiness did to people. And I didn't understand the other parts of me the way that I understand those other parts of me now. And if there were other parts of me, guaranteed, there were other parts of my mother too. Come down into the comments. I'm not here to talk about my mom today because I have been in the thoughts of her in the past couple of weeks. It is November. She died in November because I'm working in a lot of emotions, and a lot of those emotions are going back into my own childhood and in those um, dynamic relationships that I had. She has been the topic of discussion for at least a month now. So we're just going to bypass that now. Oh, Nancy loves her meat. Yeah, my dad too. My dad called himself a carnivore too. And he liked that medium rare. He liked like cutting into a steak, and he loved the T-bones, and he loved to see that stuff pouring out of the steak. And oh, my heart would break every time, right? I would see that and I'd think, oh, so my animal had to die. And I think that's what it was for me. It wasn't the fact that it was meat. It was the idea that it was a living creature. Because even when I ate the meat, I was avoiding like the tendons and the fat and the blood veins, and I would never eat meat that was close to the bone. It would drive my family crazy. Like I said, on Kentucky Fried Chicken night, when that would come to the house, it would drive them crazy because I eat the breast meat and I would just pull off the skin, which I had no problem eating the skin because it was covered in batter and yummy spices and stuff. It was amazing. But that was more disgusting than getting close to the bone and eating the tendons. If you think about it, I would never eat the skin off a chicken now. I've evolved since that time and day and age. But I would eat the meat and I would not let my teeth get close to the meat. So the meat would be like this before it'd even get to the bone. And my sister had said, "You haven't even touched that chicken breast yet." Right? Most of the time she'd take it off my plate and she would eat it. My sister and my dad could clean a bone. Oh my goodness, the way they eat chicken, and they got all these bones and they're all, you can't see even a piece of skin or blubber. It's just bone, nothing but bone and a big style of a big pile. Yeah. Maybe I will. Maybe I will try a vegetarian diet. I look at the pricing of the breads and stuff, and you guys know I like my carbs and stuff, so I would have to have breads and things and diet treats and stuff, even though it's just tricking the brain. But I think I would feel good, and you can get protein in other ways. And I could stay with eggs, can't I? Right? I would still be considered a vegetarian and eat eggs. I can tolerate eggs too, right? I just chop up wieners and mix them in scrambled eggs, and I get them down that way. Don't look like meat. Okay. This wrong mouse again coming down in the comments. Yeah, that's going way, way back, Megan. I'm surprised that I still remembered her name. There were a couple of times I talked about her and I had to kind of stall and I kind of, what was her name? It was so long, right? But she was such a nice girl. Oh, so why don't you make the time, Andrew? It's your life. if that's what will make you happy, if that's what's going to calm your system down, and you're still making movement, Andrew, you're still, right? You're still getting things done. It's a matter of accomplishing. But yeah, accomplishing to get yourself at the head of the game, right? And once you get that all cleared up, you'll feel better. You'll feel better. And because you feel better, you might have more energy and you'll be able to put that energy into something else that needs to get done, right? Oh, Dave's here. Hello, Dave. Moo Cow is Dave, you guys. Oh, somebody remembered it was Dave. Who was that? I'm coming back there to see who that was. Kathy and Owen. Oh my goodness. Everybody knew it was Dave. That's cool. That's cool there. You're a piece of furniture now. Everybody knew who you were. That's cool. Okay, in my town, homeless people steal shopping carts for pushing, oh yeah, their belongings around. They do that here too, Andrew. Now some of the stores have carts with wheels that lock beyond a certain point. Yeah, I know. I try to take my shopping cart home on occasion when I tend to overshop, right? When on grocery day I go to the store and I take my granny wagon and I'll take an extra bag with me, and right then you think, oh, the cat litter's on sale, and oh, this is on sale, and the next thing you know, you got way too much. And there have been times I've thrown in a cart, and yeah, they lock up when you try to get out of the parking lot. They just lock in place. You go, okay, at least I got to the end of the parking lot, and then you drag your stuff home the best way that you can. I usually have a backpack too on grocery day. So I'll have my granny wagon, I'll have a recycle bag, and I'll have my backpack. So all of it can be loaded down. I won't be leaving the house. I don't think for 2 days. Wednesday, I'm probably going to go out just because fresh air, a little bit of Mother Nature for my emotional and physical well being. It's important for me to connect outside. So I'm going to probably go outside, or maybe I'll go out with my sister on Wednesday, and maybe we'll just have a little bit of a thrifting day or something. Who knows what will happen, eh? But Wednesday will be free, and I'm just going to apply myself for the next couple of days and get stuff get stuff done. Get stuff done for me, Andrew. You should too. That's what you need to do. You got stuff that needs to be done at home. You just finished having it. Ugh, Andrew, you just had pneumonia, right? Can't you take at least your days off and just stay in your pajamas, right? For 2 days. You can still get stuff done, but just do stuff in your house, right? Stuff that will help you move forward a little bit, make you feel like you're accomplishing and not falling behind. Oh my goodness, I wanted to get that done for like a year now, right? We don't want to see those things that you've been trying to get to and not being able to get to. Just look at all those books you got rid of this year, Andrew, how well you did. Andrew gave away more than 200 books. And if you know Andrew, you know how much he loves his books and how hard that was for him to do a little bit of a house clean on those books, right? But you got it done and you just took your time and just hacked away at it. But don't you feel good that it's done? Do you even miss it? When I take my recycle bags to work, my donation bags to work, because on my days off, I clean, I organize. I go, oh, I don't need that anymore, right? That can leave the house. That doesn't fit anymore. Oh, I got to clean this cupboard. And next thing you know, you got donation bags. I take all of that to work. That all adds up into the service of it all, right? And it makes you feel good because you're doing something nice. To you, it doesn't seem like anything except getting rid of the garbage, right? But for somebody else, I had this conversation with a girl I worked with today. I asked her to clean up the jewelry case for me, make it look pretty, clean it up, right? Fill it up. And she did a really nice job on it. She did. But there was a bracelet and it had a little bit of scuff on one of the beads on the bracelet. And she goes, I'm going to throw this away, Cindy. And I says, what's wrong with it? And she showed me the bead. And I was trying to think, how do I explain to her that this is acceptable? That right? Because she wants to throw things away when she sees small flaws. But you have to remember, you work in a thrift store. So unless it's new in the package, which is maybe 3%, 2% of the time that it's new and it doesn't fit, or it's new and still got the price tag on, it's secondhand and it's going to have wear on it. And I thought to myself, how do I explain this to her? And then I remembered a saying my dad used to say all the time. He'd say, Cindy, remember, what is garbage to one person is treasure to another. And I says, remember this. Think about it. What does it mean? Right? She didn't get it. She didn't even think of it in truth, right? So I explained it to her and she went like this. So I said, when you throw things out, right? When you say this isn't good enough, it might not be good enough for you, right? You wouldn't buy it, but would somebody buy it? Would somebody buy it? Would this be something beautiful? Would this be something useful that somebody else would be able to make use of? And she got it. I explained it, right? And it was the perfect thing to say, right? What is treasure to one person can be garbage to another. What is garbage to one person can be treasure to another. So we keep this in mind as we work in a thrift store, right? Right? I have a couple of girls here that don't shop in the thrift store at all. One, because of bad energy on the clothes. Well, if you could read energy, you would know what pieces have bad energy, which pieces have good energy. I mean, I can see energy. If I go, ooh, right? That's right? Right? But I do understand the bad energy. Like if somebody's really sick or really sad or miserable or really angry, and that happened to be the one top that made them feel decent, but still, when they put that one top on, they're still, right? And you buy that top, and the next thing you know, you're going, right? But you would feel that energy, right? I lose taste in my things because I'm changing constantly. So my sense of style is changing, right? There are some things that aren't changing. I still love the hoodies as much as I used to love the hoodies. I love the hoodies, but those more dressier clothes, those office clothes that I was enjoying buying, I'm not enjoying them. I'm enjoying the fabrics because they're nice and soft and comfortable, but the tops themselves, the styles, they're not me anymore. I only wore them and enjoyed them, and they're beautiful tops and they look great on me, but they're not me anymore, right? Because I've changed. So my style and my joy for the clothes that I have are different now. I think maybe those office clothes, those really fancy clothes, I just really, really wanted because I could never afford them before, right? It wasn't something that I would be able to afford. And because I knew they were very expensive, I wanted to have that feeling of being the it girl. Maybe they had positive energy because they were expensive and somebody loved them when they bought them. And I wore them and I loved on them too when I was wearing them. And I was getting compliments on these clothes that I was constantly getting, right? But the thing was, I changed. And because I'm changing, I'm finding these things are ending up in the recycle bags that I'm taking to work as donations. And I find my closet is filling up more with hoodies and sporting clothes. I like the sporty clothes to the outdoor wear. Not so much like the camouflage, even though I have a camouflage hoodie and camouflage pants, couple of camouflage things. Uh, when I say that, the sporting things, I think track and hiking pants and wet pants for like when I'm going out in the springtime. It's really mucky and stuff. My avalanche keen boots, right? That these are the type of clothes and my tastes that are in right now. But who's to say how long that's going to last, right? Because I'm constantly in change. And the whole magnificent, right back to it, is that you guys have been hanging out with me through all that change, right? Even in my backgrounds, even in showing up live and what you're looking at. Of course, it's Cindy in front of you, but isn't the background constantly changing from one place to another, or from one score at work to another? That things are constantly changing, right? It's neat. It is neat. And I suspect it's going to go on right until my very last day. And that's part of the stuff that makes me fun. But like I said, what amazes me most is that you guys are coming along for that ride with me. And I hope in the end, right, it blooms into something absolutely magnificent. I'm certain that it will. What it is, I have no idea. I'm just as much as in anticipation as anybody else, but I'm just moving along in the meantime, 100%. Okay. Dave says, shopping carts back in the early 70s, about 74, I started working part-time as a student at Loblaws, which is like Sobeys, right? And I worked at an old store and further down the road at a new Loblaws, Lo- Loblaws, and the spokesperson was William Shatner. Oh, he had to say by go, the price is right. Oh, by God, the price is right. He was so hammered, it took him 6 hours to say it, lol. I was in the background for the commercial. Really, Dave? What a great story that is. I've met William Shatner too. In Vancouver, every year they would have the Jerry Lewis telethon, and Jerry Lewis would come in, and for 3 days, 24/7 for 3 days, in this great big amphitheater, he would put on a telethon, and he would have all these big stars come on, and they would have autograph sessions. So we would take our autograph books and we would go stand in line to get all the I don't have any of my autograph books. I have no idea what happened to any of those autographs. I had autographs of the entire Star Trek for sure, because because I guess William Shatner says, "Oh, come and be on my telethon," right? But there was Dean Martin, Jerry Lewis, uh, uh, the lady with the sheep puppet. Oh my goodness, so many Sesame Street actors and puppets and all kinds of stars. It was so much fun. Yeah. But what an interesting story, Dave. I think that was so good, because I did remember him saying that he was a little bit of a drinker. But yeah, to actually hear that people in the public were actually saw him totally pounded, and it took him how long to get the commercial done? Commercial, right? 6 hours. 6 hours to get his part done in a computer, because he was in a commercial, because he was so hammered. That's so funny. A retrospective Cindy. I don't know what I was talking about in the moment, but I guess retrospective I was. Andrew says, "Wow, Dave, I wouldn't have thought of William Shatner as someone who would show up drunk." Really? Oh, I knew he was a drinker. But also remember, he lost a son too. He had a son that drowned, didn't he? That would throw him for a loop in that time. I would suspect that lots of people, when these bad things happen in their life, that they turn to drink, or they turn to drugs, or they turn to eating, right? To help alleviate that pain of what they're going through, right? So maybe that was around that time. I have no idea. Uh yeah, Andrew, this was after Star Trek and before the movies. He had a hard time. Oh, so I was right there. Cindy, I say it every year. You must find a tree somewhere to put all our names out like you did years ago. Oh my goodness, Dave, you remember that? I have all of those. After the strike, I should mail all you guys your name on your snowman or your Santa or whatever it was. Yeah, I remember that, Dave. I remember that. That was when I was doing that series. Um, what did I call it? Surviving Cindy, when I was doing the winter fort, right? And we did a Christmas tree out in the Christmas tree farm. We went and he decorated a tree. I remember that. Why do you wish we were all colorblind, Nancy? Why? She's going to tell us. It would make people more kinder and equal. Oh my goodness. Now, talk about retrospective and insight, Nancy. Isn't that something? If people were all blind, it would make people kinder and equal. Isn't that something? But we've always been kind to you, Nancy, and you never made it a secret that you were in a chair or you had inadequacies that you thought you had, not necessarily because we knew your value 100%. But oh my goodness, yeah, Nancy, I hope, right? That unkindness, I get it. But sometimes, we're not finding the unkindness. The unkindness finds us, and that's the truth. And we don't want to make ourselves unavailable because if we make ourselves unavailable to the unkindness, at the same time, you're making yourself unavailable to the possible kindness that can come your way too, right? Okay. Yes, but God put them on earth for us to have food. Oh, you're talking about the animals. I thought you were talking about people. Maybe you were a little bit of both. Um, uh, but yes, but God put them on earth for us to have food. Do you think so, Nancy? Are you 100% on the button? That's why they were put on earth, right? It's only because we eat them that we assume that that's what they were put on earth for, right? Just like us, they want to survive. They want to survive too. What if something greater than us, something beyond what we know, say, oh, let's eat humans. That's what they were put on earth for. That Cindy's looking pretty yummy. Right? Yeah. I think, however, each one of us is given choice in how we want to live, right? But the thing is, if you live that way, then people who don't respect the way you live won't be a part of your life. And sometimes those people who aren't a part of your life, they have magnificent gifts, they have a magnificent insights, they have great kind hearts, just not in that aspect, right? This is the way I think about it. And I also think just as much of the bird or the dog, the horse, the buffalo, the rhinoceros, the hippo, the monkey, all those animals. I think we all started as one animal and we just kept splitting, 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 right? And all these species just decided, oh, I like the monkey life. I'm going to be a monkey. Huh? Or, oh, I like being a buffalo. I want to be an elephant. Elephant is good. I don't want to change. The elephant life is for me, right? And then they stop in their movement and they're just elephants and they spend the next 100,000 years as elephants, rather than, well, someone like me who just, right, is always moving forward, even if it's in the baby steps. I will always be evolving with the majority, I think, right? Yeah. My dad was big on majority rules, and he'd always say the minority will always hold the majority accountable, right? But the safest place to be is with the majority. Yeah. Yeah. And that's right. And that's evolution. That's evolution. Constantly changing, right? Each one of us is a unique, if we choose to be. You could be slightly different, more different, or totally different. You could stop at being the hippo and say, this is the life for me. Or you could say, I don't want to be a hippo. I want to be a rhino. Well, maybe that's not possibly, but what's the next stage of evolution for the hippo? They spend a lot of time in the water, don't they, the hippos? Maybe they'll grow gills, right? And become more aquatic. If you guys don't know, the elephant was actually a land animal. He was, right? He was a sea creature that moved to land and then, out of necessity, moved back to the water, right? The whales. Constant changing, right? And just in making the choices of what to be. Could the whale decide that they want to come back onto land? Right? Maybe, right? But I think their body weight is going to be the problem, because I don't think the world supports on the outside, right? Um, um, Heavy body masses that way, right? I think that's what happened with the dinosaurs. That the environment just couldn't support a whole bunch of animals that big and that demanding on the atmosphere that the earth was producing at the time, right? So it was only the small little creatures, and somehow man survived. I think it was because of the caves, right? Yeah. But these are different ideas and things that we mull over. And this is why this is an age 18 channel, because, again, we don't want to have these kind of conversations and mix people up, right? Or offend people because their kids have got ideas and the parents are trying to teach them another way or another understanding or different beliefs, right? Right? And parents, how possessive they get, like you couldn't tell my dad how to raise his kids. You told my dad how to raise his kids, he would uproot the entire household, and we would be in a new city so fast it'd make your head spin. My dad didn't waste any time with people who didn't respect the way that he wanted to live or the way he wanted to raise his family. That I know 100% just through my own experience. Okay, you guys, let's come down here. We are running late tonight. We're really over talking. Okay, quickly come down into the comments. I used to wear the so-called hoodie, but we called them kangaroo jackets back in the early 70s. It's hard. It's hard. It's hard in one with a zipper and not a pullover, which I do not like. Mind you, my hair was so long. I like the pullovers, but I like the zippers. I like the zippers better myself. And no different for me. I was an 80s, 90s girls. We did a lot of clubbing in the 80s and 90s. This generation is not into clubbing, which in a way is a kind of a good thing, because there isn't that promiscuity, right? There was a lot of one night stands and stuff. I worked in the bars and the nightclubs for 15 years. A lot of one night stands, a lot of children being born that didn't, right, were not wanted or needed at the time, and were ended up neglected. And again, my heart goes out to those kids, right? But things are changing. They're changing for the better, right? There's still some things that are kind of kinked, but there are lots of things that are really sorting themselves out really well. And that's a truth. But like I said, in the bars, 80s, 90s, it was grunge. It was the Mac jackets, the lumberjack shirts. Yeah, that's what we were all about, the grunge. That was my era anyway, right? That's different. If we didn't see color, we wouldn't be mean to those of color. Oh, wow. But then we would just find something else to criticize, wouldn't we, Nancy? That's just the way we are. When we feel bad about ourselves, we tend to bring other people down to our levels, right? Or point out their flaws if they're pointing out our flaws. But you're right too. There are lots of things that could be a little bit different that would make the world work a little bit different. And I love perspectives because perspectives are where we're going to find the answers 100%. But perspectives means we have to have these conversations, don't we? We have to have these conversations, but have them as conversations so everybody gets to contribute and it's not just one person's say so, right? Okay, you guys, let's end it up here. We ran it late tonight. I didn't mean to go on. I wasn't even looking at the clock today. It makes me mad that the color of skin is such an issue. I love everyone, no matter the color. I wish we can all be like that. We're moving towards that, Nancy. I see it now. Even in the generation of the 80s, I was reading a report and they were saying that it's not even an issue like discrimination and racism and stuff in the schools, and at least in North America, the kids grew up with the mixed culture in their classrooms. It's not a big deal anymore, right? It's not straight white classes. It's not a straight Christian class. Like everything is just mixing very nicely. We're even mixed races in our marriages, in the producing our children, and it's amazing because all these different cultures that might have at one time been considered because of the way they looked were treated badly have now mixed in with people who are a lot different than them. And again, that idea of the monkey, right? The two different tribes of monkeys. And if a male monkey from one tribe and a female monkey from another tribe, they get together and they have offspring, that offspring will be rejected by both tribes because they're a different species altogether, right? A different species altogether. Yeah, but as we assimilate, as we move forward again, when I was a kid in the 1970s and you met a black person, that black person would be so black, their skin almost looked blue. It shimmered blue. My friend Beverly Edwards, she was my best friend in grade school. She was so black, her face shimmered in a blue tone, a very dark blue tone. You don't see that as often as you used to. Maybe if you lived in Africa, but it's not here in North America. They're nice tan, nice chocolate brown, nice taupe colors, different variances. And if you watch TikTok videos and Instagram videos, there are a couple of women, black women, who have little Caucasian babies and they make posts about their babies because people are always bugging them like, is that your child? Right? Do I need to call the authorities? You don't look anything. Are you the stepmom? And they're actually the parents of these children, and that's difficult. But that's the way the world is moving, and we are assimilating. And you're 100% right, Nancy. Right? Yeah, that right. And when we have assimilated, we're going to need people like Nancy, right? To remind us how important it is and what a good job we're doing at finally being the people that, at the very least, Nancy could appreciate it because She loves everyone, no matter what the color is, right? Okay, you guys, that's it for tonight. It's 9:33. We went a half an hour over tonight. I've got to have something to eat. I'm sure my coffee is cold. I am all dry. I need to get some fluids into me before I go to bed because I want to sleep good tonight, not have any Charlie horses, right? Take care of myself, get up tomorrow, and be ready to hack away at getting the next installment of my Ontario Circle Tour. It's going to be the last one of the trip itself. There'll be one more video of me showing off all the rocks that I found on this trip. We'll do that one in the community center downstairs where you guys have never seen it, and it's something that's offered in the building that I have. I don't usually utilize any of the services that are in the building. I usually just keep to myself because the building is full of vulnerable. I would never hesitate to sit and have a conversation, and I do, and make friends in a acquaintance way with the tenants here, but nothing so deep. Like I wouldn't have them come visit me in my home or anything. This is my space. This is my domain. I am the queen of my castle, for sure. Okay, you guys, that's it for tonight. We'll see you tomorrow. You can come in. You'll see me on What's My Good Cheer. I'll be in sometime tomorrow. Other than that, I'll be editing video. You guys can expect on Wednesday, there'll be an upload for you. If we don't see you this week, I'll see Melvin now, right? Because he got his keyboard back in shape. But if I don't see you guys, we'll see you next Wednesday. And I don't have to guarantee that because you guys already do. Okay, you guys, have a great night. See you next week. Bye. That was a good one.